Hello, Community Action. We are so glad that you are with us here today. My name is Denise Harlow. I'm the CEO of the National Community Action Partnership. I'm going to pause while we hit the record button. Great. So today's webinar is about our Community Action Month Toolkit. Can you believe that Community Action Month is right around the corner? May is just going to be a great time. It always is. And today we really want to walk through some of the pieces of the partnership that NCAP and the NASCAP have kind of put together that we want to talk with you about how we think we can try to harness that energy and excitement that happens during May in a way that will have an impact on the other side. So again, my name is Denise Harlow. I'm the CEO of the National Community Action Partnership, and I'm joined by
Diane Lee, and I am the Communications Director, and I slaved over this, so hopefully you like it.
And then I'm going to turn it over here to Brett over at NCAP. You want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Brett Bauer with the National Community Action Foundation, and I'm the Communications and Legislative Assistant over here.
Great. And Eric over at NASCAP.
Yes, this is Eric Bana with NASCAP, National Association for State Community Services Programs, and I do communications and policy here.
And we are thrilled to have Eric and Brett with us here today. And CAPLA would normally, certainly we would make this a four-way national partner event. Certainly they're engaged in training and TA, and so this kind of promotion and elevation and visibility piece is more in these three national partners, so don't read anything into that. Eleanor would be right here if we needed her to be, but we're thrilled that NASCAP and NCAP and the partnership can work together as we have in years past on promoting Community Action Month. Next slide. So, May. It has been Community Action Month for years. It is the time that local agencies, state associations, state offices, national partners really get engaged. There is so much cool stuff that goes on during May. We can't even keep up sometimes. It just keeps coming in. It's a time for you to have some fun. The work you do every day is incredibly hard. There are challenges. Your staff gets stressed out, your boards, your volunteers. It's a big lift to be fighting poverty across America. So May is a chance to kind of lighten the load a little bit, kind of highlight and give shout-outs to staff, shout-outs to board members and volunteers, sharing the success stories of your amazing customers who have changed their lives and moving toward economic security for themselves and their families. It really is a great time. And I kind of come back to this thanking staff piece, and you'll see, I think, in our calendar that we show you, there'll be a lot of different kind of chances to honor and celebrate the staff. We have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of staff around this country working in community action, and May is just really a great time. So the toolkit. Many of you have said, Denise, when is that toolkit coming out? When is that toolkit coming out? I'm like, it's coming, and it is out. It is up on our website. It was out earlier than it was last year. We're very excited by that, earlier than the last couple of years. It is up on our website at communityactionpartnership.com, and I know in the chat window, I think Sharita, who's behind the scenes, posted the full direct link. And you can download it in PDF. And if you ever see pages or tools or things that you want an original document from, email us. We can take out any of these pages and send you a crisp copy, a Word version, something that's going to be more useful perhaps on the other side, but don't hesitate.
Yeah, even though we have them broken into sections on the internet, right below the toolkit, you can also just message me if you need a crisp example of the calendar, a crisp copy of the calendar, or something like that. So don't feel bad if you just, hey, I'm going to email Diane and get that calendar.
Yep, we were happy to send it to you. And that thing on the picture on the right is the picture of our website, and you'll see along the bottom we have 4 boxes that are our latest news. I hope you come back to our website often and scroll down. We do try to keep those relatively updated. And the third box over is our toolkit, and you can click on that as well as the link that Sharita shared. I should also say that on your screen you have a chat window. I hope that you will ask questions, push us a little bit. If there's something that we're not talking about that you thought was really cool in years past, let us know that too. We can't really unmute folks today, but we're happy to answer your questions that come through in the chat window.
So the one thing it's a pretty big toolkit. It has 49 pages, and it's actually probably going to be growing because CCAP is going to be giving me some additions for their 25th anniversary. So when that happens, we'll go ahead and we'll update it as well, and then I'll try to get that information out to you in e-news or in social media, you name it. We'll just make sure that you have those additions. But let's say, you know, gosh, you saw something you really liked on our toolkit and you want to know, I can't remember what page it was on. Well, we've got your table of contents. It's only 2 pages long. Just scroll through that, find out what you need, and there you go. It's right at your fingertips right there.
And right off the bat, we have certainly a piece of discussion, an element here that's going to engage more of our new messaging, right? The partnership over the last 6 months worked with Springboard Partners, a communications firm, and they helped us frame some messages that will resonate with a broader audience, right? We do a great job, I think, talking within our own family in community action. And some of the language that we've inserted into the toolkit this year is their research-based, as well as network research, right? They've talked to a lot of people saying this, we think this language will resonate both with your agencies as well as the general public. So you'll see that language embedded throughout this tool. Our community action promise, I know so many of you post the promise, and we'll talk about May 1st, and I think this is a foreshadowing. May 1st is we're going to ask everybody to share the promise of community action to kick us off. But there's a lot of really fun stuff, a lot of really good content in this toolkit.
Which brings us to the next slide about the fun activities that we have. So here is just a synopsis, this page of just kind of the fun things and the new things. For example, the video production tips. We talked to you and mentioned, hey, take part in the news media, your opportunity here to be out there in front and make awareness and visibility, the big thing for community action. And the fun things, like that are coming up in the calendar where we talk about Pizza Party Day.
And Color the Huggy Heart Day. That has to be one of my favorite things is when we get a copy of, and we'll talk about here in a moment, the Huggy Heart. But there's just so many really cool, fun things, and people say, what hashtags are you using? You'll see the 2 hashtags up here. The first one, we are 1,000 strong. I know many of you participated in our advocacy days during March using CSBG, a wise investment. For Community Action Month, we hope to use we are 1,000 strong to elevate that we are 1,000+ agencies across this country. So WE, the letter R, number 1,000 strong, as well as hashtag Community Action Works. Now, that's an oldie but a goodie. People like that one, so we bring it up every couple of years. So Community Action Works, and we are 1,000 strong. Well, certainly many people will still use hashtag Community Action, hashtag Be Community Action, hashtag CSBG. But we wanted to have some special hashtags for this month.
And we're getting really good feedback on these hashtags. And one thing to note that's really important is that we're going to be using a program called TalkWalker. It's a free program. And so every Friday we will know how many people actually use these hashtags and how it went, you know, we can add them all up at the end of the month and we can say, hey, you know, 10,000 people use these hashtags for the month of May. And the same can be done for our graphics that we're going to be talking about in a little bit, where we have another Storify program where we actually monitor all the CAP agencies out there who are sharing this content, the very same content that we produce. We're going to be able to give you those analytics and say, look how many agencies shared this. It's really helpful.
And having Diane come on board has really been a great opportunity for the partnership. Diane has a great experience in journalism, video filming, processing, developing, movie creation, those sorts of things. So you'll see some new tools in here about how to do videos. I mean, nowadays on our phones, right, we can do a lot of really cool stuff with small investments. You can really upgrade some of your technology, and she's really laid out a step-by-step process in how you, in the field, can do videos. And we are seeing some really great videos from CAP.
We're getting we're getting all the CCAP testimonials.
Oh my goodness.
90% of these are shot on little cell phones, and they look great. And a lot of it they've gone and they've followed the tips of, you know, editing tips and all that. So they're actually simpler than a person would realize. But we put those in the toolkit for you, and we're going to share that with you in just a minute. So.
All right, so let's go on to the calendar. This is, for me, I love our calendar when it looks fun, it looks engaging, and you want to walk us through how folks can use this?
So I really think it's interesting because when I first got this task with doing the toolkit, I was like, what is this calendar? I didn't really understand it, and maybe you're new to community action and you don't quite get it at first, but I seriously, once you follow every single day, it clicks. It's meant to be serious and fun. It's both. It's not just, you know, we don't want it to be all fun and we don't want it to be super serious. So, for example, on May 1st, you can, you know, follow this and share, like, I'm hoping people do Facebook Lives. I'm hoping that May 1st, we do our promise and Facebook Live. So some fun days that we have, like May 4th, for example, is May the 4th be with you, you know, the Star Wars Stormtrooper thing, yeah. We wanted to have fun, so we talk a little bit about that in our tweets and our posts, which are coming up. We have the serious days like Mother's Day. We want you to share things like that and really thank your employees, thank your board, take the time to thank your volunteers. All of this is incorporated into this toolkit. We have LBJ Day, which if we go to the next slide, we've got a few things. Oh, I guess I'm wrong. Sorry.
Go back to the calendar.
Yeah, we'll go to the calendar. My bad. That's way down, I think. But we have other things like, you know, Throwback Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Always fun to do a Throwback Thursday. You've got selfie days. You've got Armed Forces Day. So just really a mix.
And thinking creatively about each day. So we have Nurses Day, right? So you have nurses, many of you on your teams. You might be an FQHC. You may have nurses in your Head Start classrooms occasionally. You may have other health clinics where you have nurses on staff. You may have people who are trained as nurses who work in different positions. You may actually have partnerships in your community with nursing schools and other groups. There are a lot of different ways to highlight those individual days, like Mother's Day. You got moms on your staff. You got moms as customers. You got moms of your Head Start kids. You got moms as volunteers. You got moms as board members. There's a lot of ways to honor mothers on Mother's Day. So some really cool stuff.
And I think one of the most important things about social media that doesn't get enough press is that, you know, if you look at this, we do talk about things like Mother's Day, which isn't about community action necessarily. You know, it's about Mother's Day. But that's huge in that, you know, it's not always about us. Even in Community Action Month, it's about others. And that's what we hope to have in this calendar and to share with you, that we care about a lot of different things in community action, and it's all right here.
And we're not asking everybody to do everything on every single day. So we know that's overwhelming.
Right.
So we're just trying to harness, and there'll be some of these days where we really try to do a big push, like May 1st, big push. We're hoping everybody kind of logs on and does something on May 1. And certainly I think a lot of agencies love those throwback days where you can dig up those old pictures of your staff with the fun hair and the big pants or whatever else you got going on. We all have them.
We got to get busy trying to find yours.
Not so much. We've even seen people put up kids pictures when they're staff for kids. We've seen so many cool things. So anyway,
I
really love the calendar.
Yes.
And again, for me, one of the funnest things is this coloring a huggy heart. And I get emails. I love it when people send me emails from stuff that they're doing during May and all throughout the year. I've gotten so many pictures of tapestries, basically, of Head Start classrooms will hand this out. The wall will be covered with them. They'll take a picture. I've even seen staff do it during, you know, a staff stress reduction activity. It just makes for a really pretty visual.
And it's nice, and it is stress relieving. So we
may be coloring here.
I was going to send them to us. Let us share them. Let us color a few, and who knows? One day maybe we'll have a contest.
Oh, that would be fun.
Who does the best job?
Now, and I know in Community Action we collected a lot of data. And during Community Action Month, it can be important for us to make sure we're telling our story using the numbers and using the data that we have. That is part of that ROMA cycle, right? Being able to talk about and evaluate the work that we do. I'm going to turn the ball over here to Eric over at NASCAS, who's going to walk us through how you can use the annual report and how NASCAS, they just do great stuff during May as well. And Eric, we'll turn it over to you to walk us through the next few slides.
Great. Thank you, Denise and Diane. We are really excited to be on the webinar today and just kind of go in detail to a few more of our resources. You know, the fantastic toolkit links to some of our resources, and we'll just go in, as Denise said, and talk a little bit more about how the data of the CSBG network can really hammer home a lot of those messages for Community Action Month. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is just a quick screenshot of our website. As Denise mentioned, you know, we work with the Federal Office of Community Services on data collection efforts, you know, the CSBGIS, and going forward, the annual report. And so here on our website, you can click on CSBG National Report and State Fact Sheets, where we have annual report, and we have fact sheets for each state, as well as a national highlights fact sheet, really going over a lot of those data and outcomes network-wide. So we really want to make those available to everyone. I know that a lot of folks have downloaded them, but wanted to just really quick again show you where to find those on our website, and I believe the link is included in the toolkit as well. Data, as we've been saying, is a really powerful tool, and it's something that's really accessible, and we always hear about the importance of accountability, and it's something that the CSBG network does really well and has been doing well for a really long time. Next slide, please. Great, this is just a look at the 2016 version of our national report. The latest version is almost out up on our website. It's coming very soon. But there in the bullets is just an example of some outcomes and some data that you can find in the annual report. There are charts in there, there's graphs. It's really a lot of information in there, but it's really good information that you can copy and paste and kind of plug and play. The Toolkit does a really fantastic job pulling some of that data out and putting those into social media posts already for you. So that's a really great resource. And if you want to go to the source and kind of delve in deeper, this is the document that you can go to. Next slide, please. This is a look at the state fact sheets. It's a front and back one-pager. It's a colorful and it's really accessible document. You can look at leveraging of additional funds. You can look at demographics served, and this is something that is really, really easy tool to use. So definitely encourage everyone to go to our website and take a look at those, download your state's fact sheet, and get yourself a copy. Next slide, please. Great. Just a little note on kind of how to use some of this data. The state fact sheets are really great to bring to meetings and events to engage new partners. I think that in the messaging you'll see in the toolkit that the partnership is doing a really great job leading the CSBG network and kind of getting Community Action's name out there and forging relationships with new partners and new audiences. So using your CSBG data to do that is a really great thing that you can do during May for Community Action Month. You'll find in the toolkit a lot of pre-made social media posts. Those are some examples right there. Really easy and simple to pull in your agency's data at a local level, at a state level, and put that out on social media. Another great thing is to use the data as a seed for a blog post or for press coverage. There's resources that the partnership provided in the toolkit about engaging with media. It would be a really great thing to show the impact that your agency is having on your local community, in your state, in a local paper and a press release for Community Action Month. And then finally, Brett from NCAF will touch on this later in the call, but data is a really great resource to share with your state representatives, your congressional members, and the Community Action Month really gives you a natural time to make that connection and share that data with those policymakers and other leaders. Great, and that brings to the next slide, which is the State of Poverty blog that we run. We have a lot of you following that blog right now, and we're going to have some mini toolkits like we traditionally do in May, just some small blog posts with various resources and data. It's going to have kind of a data-heavy and state-focused lens, but we encourage people to look at those and use that to support and supplement the great resources that the partnership has put together. We're going to have some state success stories and local success stories on the blog for May. Shout out to Mid-Cumberland Community Action Agency if you're on the webinar. You've submitted some great success stories through our website that we'll be sharing during May. So, on our homepage you can see a Submit Success Story form. So we encourage you to do that as well, and we can put it out on our blog. And then I will go to the next slide. I just wanted to illustrate with this slide some really great things that you can do with data, like making infographics. These were made with completely free programs online. We had an intern do it. This is a great project for a volunteer that a volunteer could even do at home. You know, there's certain volunteers that, you know, maybe can't make it into the office, but you know, or into your agency that want to know how they can help. Putting together things like this is a great way to do it. And again, that data is really the hook and really the source for some great resources like this. These and some other infographics we've put together are going to be on our blog and those mini toolkits, and you can download them from there and from our social media as well. That is my letting us be a part of this webinar, and we wish everyone a great Community Action Month. It's a really great opportunity for us to highlight the great work that all of you are doing out in the network. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Eric. Appreciate it. And your data and resources are always so helpful, and we so appreciate the partnership with NASCAS on this. And I'm just going to hold this up again. I just love these infographics, especially this one here. It's really tough sometimes to make heads or tails sometimes of data, and this just really is pretty. It gets your attention. I think hits all those core domains that we've certainly talked about. My question came in about what infographic tool that you use, and I believe you had used PictoChart. Is that correct?
So we use a couple different ones.
Yep.
There is Canva, and there's also Venngage and PictoChart. So I will, in the chat, send the links of those to everyone.
And I think Sharita's doing that as well. And I've used Canva myself, and we'll probably talk about that here in a moment. It is easy, it's fun, and it makes me look like an artist, kind of, but not really. But no, it's very easy to use.
It's great. We've all become graphic artists.
Yes, we have. Next slide, please.
So one of the big pushes is also to use their data and kind of create some of our own tweets and posts that you can use and just grab and go with them. For May 1st, for example, the big day, we are going to be wanting you to share the promise. So May 2nd, for example, is Older Americans Month, so we will have 4 tweets or posts. You can grab one of those and just use it, or you can use anything that you craft up, of course. We want you to be creative and have fun, and also on the days when you're overworked, to be able to just grab some of these posts and use them. Yeah, copy and paste. And we spend a lot of time trying to take that huge annual report and coming up with some really good ones, and I think we achieved that for you. So go ahead and enjoy these. I think it's 4 pages of tweets and posts. And we also, on our next slide, this is our image creator. So just like he was talking about in creating those PictoChart graphics, this is a little bit simpler. We created these 2, along with our other graphics we're about to show you, in Adobe Spark, and that is $9 a month if you want to use the branding. So you can use your branding colors, and that's what we do. We pay $9 a month so that we can use our colors and our logos and all those good things, and that thing is amazing, just like Canva. It just does wonders. So all these you can go to our website, and they're JPEGs. You just download them onto your computer, put them into Paint, which is a Microsoft program, and then type in your mission for May 7th, and boop, you send it out in social media, you're done with that one. The one on the right, all you have to do is put your team's photo in that block that says replace this top portion with your team photo. So it's that simple. And we created those, as I said, in Adobe Spark. And that one, the last one, is for Thankful Thursday, to thank your team and people who took part in community action. So those are pretty simple to make.
Yep. And like I said, a lot of these resources are cheap, if not free, and really easy to use.
Yeah, Adobe Spark is actually free if you don't want the branding, and you can modify any of they do social media, they do brochures, they do all those things. So Canva, Adobe Spark, those are some of our 2 that we always use.
And you'll see some of the pictures up here. I mean, it used to be really kind of sketchy on what our graphics would look like here, but we've really smartened up. It looks professional, and I'm really excited by how nice, clean, professional these tools help us look as a network. So
yeah, and these are Adobe, all were created on Adobe Spark. So we have 4 pages of actual graphics that you can share for certain days, like the promise on May 1st, which is here. Use those hashtags. The community action works, and we are 1,000 strong, and we'll analyze how many people are doing it so we can all cheer ourselves on and how much we took part. The Throwback Thursday, we know that's important to you, to have some of your own for your team, but also for community action itself. So that's why we have LBJ up there, or we have one from Martin Luther King, and we have, you name it, people who were involved in the anti-poverty movement years past. So lots going on there. And as we said before, the fun one, the Stormtrooper Day, I actually have in the tweet, where I created one specifically for you, talking about how our strength and our fortitude, as you work diligently every day to move individuals towards self-sufficiency, may the force be with you.
She wouldn't let me do Huggy Heart Stormtroopers, but, you know, next year maybe.
That would be cute.
And the last one is Huggy Heart Day, and if we go to the next slide, not everybody loves the Huggy Heart. I kind of like the Huggy Heart. It's a nice little piece of our logo that can be pulled out and used in a lot of creative different ways. And if you want more creative ways of it, I can send you some slides with some really cool stuff on it. But we have our selfie, and we have I Huggy Heart or I Heart Community Action. Again, if all your staff want to stand up and hold one of these signs, we see this sometimes on your websites or on your social media pages and things like that, and you can print this off and delete, you know, this isn't on here in the text, in the toolkit, but hold this up, color the Huggy Heart, all that kind of stuff can happen on Huggy Heart Day.
Take those selfies, take those group selfies, and we will share them and we'll pass them around, and we'll get that visibility and increase, you know, our whole brand.
And then we know that media can be a little anxiety-ridden sometimes. What did I say? Did I say it wrong? What am I going to do? And Diane, again, has a lot of experience in this area and has really helped us beef up, I think, this part of the toolkit to really make it practical and easy. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I worked 20 years as a journalist and in television. So that's why a lot of what is in here is really poignant and specific to what you're going to need. How do you talk to the media when you're doing interviews? How do you pitch stories to the news media so that they actually bite, you know, that hook that you need? And the press release can be really difficult. So this has a press release template, and I'm a big proponent, and when you're doing any kind of press release, keep it to 1 page or even a half a page, and just remember that that top part, that first paragraph, has to hit them hard and has to tell them why they should care and come and cover Community Action Month or what you're doing. And in fact, I have to share something with you that I thought was really cool. Denise sent this to me. The CAP at Lake County, I believe it's in
Illinois, yes.
They are holding a CAP rally on the 5th, I think it's the 5th, yeah, and a 5K walk and run. So you know the media is probably going to go to that. This is an anti-poverty community action event that they created, and I think that is spectacular. So if you can think of any creative ways to do stuff like that, maybe not on that grand of a scale like next month, but you know, even next year might be good. Those kinds of creative things will get you media attention for sure.
And in the toolkit, like I said earlier, we have included some of our updated talking points that Springboard has helped develop. And we can send you there's a range of things here that we can also send you. And we're going to be doing some more work with these talking points over the next few months, building ambassador toolkits for board members, for staff, for volunteers, those sorts of things. But you can see here about framing the need in your community and talking about how your local agency or the network addresses that need. And then there's an additional component about the vision that you hope to achieve through that almost logic model. Some might say, but we're not going there either. But we are trying to use language around that will have a different kind of resonance with an external audience. and May is a good time to test out some of those new talking points.
Yes, Springboard has come up with quite a few different templates for us, some for the partnership, some for the network, some for the board, some for TA, and some for the other groups. And we're going to be sharing those out periodically and at the annual conference, and this is really a chance for you, they said, to be able to use them, but you can, you know, massage them a little bit to make them more attributable to your community. So go ahead and run with it and enjoy them. Oh, the video production. So this is my baby. This is what I love to do. I like to produce videos. It's so difficult, but we have 3 pages where we talk about things that you may never think about when you're trying to tell a visual story, and that is your opening shot. When you go to something and you're covering it for community action, what's going to be my opening shot of my video? What's going to be my closing shot? We talk about use a tripod. We don't have a tripod. We have a monopod, so use a monopod too. What to wear. This causes so many problems for people. They have so much consternation over this. And contrast. You'll notice in the toolkit we talk about that. So a dark color and like a bright color, or a white and a black.
I'm doing it wrong today, by the way, but you know what are you going to do?
Good. It still looks good. At least you didn't wear what I did yesterday. I wore a striped shirt, and the whole time the camera was going, oh, we don't like you, you know. And that's what you want to stay away from. Stripes. Don't wear stripes. Big, huge flowers. Don't wear big, huge flowers. But we talk about that in there. We talk about shooting B-roll, which is actually not the interviews. It's actually things like the conference itself or the event itself, the people, those kinds of things. That's B-roll. We talk about your lighting. How does the lighting work? Because that is the most important thing for shooting photography or for videography. We talk about editing tips and tricks, because, boy, if you didn't shoot it right, there's lots you can do in Premiere Pro and a few other editing tools that will make your videos shine. And why the importance of all these videos? Because social media is now showing that that's what they're pushing. They're not pushing just the text and the pictures anymore. They want videos. They want live videos. That's why we have this big section in here on producing videos. And then finally, video mistakes to avoid. We talk about that as well, because there are a lot of them. So I think you'll enjoy that section.
And one of the more traditional pieces that we've always had, I believe, in the toolkit for years and years and years is a sample community action proclamation. Our local boards are 1/3 made up of elected officials. We believe that the entire community has a role to play in fighting poverty, and agencies for decades have been going to their state legislators, to their city councils, to their mayors, to their governors, saying, we are asking you to declare May as Community Action Month, or we're asking you to declare May 5th such and such Community Action Agency Day. Whatever it's going to be, we do have some sample proclamation language in the toolkit, I believe a little modernized probably with our new talking points. It's easily downloadable, put in your own letterhead. You'll see here from a couple years back we have certainly the Augusta, Georgia, and we have them in the state of Missouri. And it's always nice to see the pictures, and people are really proud when they get those proclamations. We also know this is a good time to do some fundraising or dip our toes into that fundraising water. You mentioned the 5K. Other groups might probably do, I've seen a lot of celebration dinners or awards dinners happening during May, and sometimes those are more fundraisers than fundraisers, but it all has a role to play. And the toolkit does have some fundraising tips on how to maximize Community Action Month for that opportunity.
The next page talks about just some other resources that you might need at your disposal. So if you need some other media relations tips for nonprofit agencies, or if you need some social media engagement, these are just some links that can really help you to have the research in the background and foundation of what you need to move forward. For example, the community needs assessment tool. All those things at your disposal are on this page.
I see a question has come in, Sharita. If we were to gather more stories of Community Action Agency clients, what is the message we should really focus on for Community Action Month for these videos? That's a great question.
A great question. In fact, I think that's one of the things we're going to be doing at annual conference is we're going to be talking a lot about the narrative, the story that we tell when we put together videos for any clients or anything like this, because we have to get away from talking about how do I say this? There are people in America who feel that you shouldn't talk about poverty, and they have certain feelings about what poverty is. Well, we're hoping to change that narrative so that they fully understand the complicated and complex landscape that is poverty. And so I think that's what you need to focus on, not the stereotypes of poverty, but more the outcomes and how we're driving home the jobs we're creating and those kinds of positive messages, right?
Yeah, I would definitely, whatever kind of success stories, certainly people love kids, but you want to make sure you have all the right releases and things like that, and you're using actual customers in your videos, making sure you have your bases covered. But kids and dogs, right? People love kids and dogs and animals and stuff, but what happens to a family over a period of time, and if there was a certain element of success or a certain job that was able to be maintained, or they were able to afford a car or move into a different kind of housing or get back to school and has graduated this year, I think it's those kind of personal success stories that can really help change the narrative as well.
Yeah, and I think she hit on a very good point, the children and the families. When we see stories about families that really, we help them get out of poverty and be self-sufficient, those are really powerful stories. A lot of times when people talk about poverty, they don't even realize the children who are involved or the families that struggle until we tell them those stories. And they're like, oh, wow, I had no idea. So I think those are some good routes to take.
And Brett will be on here in a moment from NCAP, and I'm sure they would also say make sure you try to highlight the role that community action, and even mention the word CSBG that helps give that organization its infrastructure that can help provide those services. I think mentioning community action and the role that the agency helped play, I think would be helpful as well.
Yeah, because when we were, and I want to expound on this because I think it's a very good point. When we were going through videos that we were trying to find recently for a wise investment to share on social media, we were really looking for agencies that do talk about community action, that mention community action. So many don't in their videos, and it's just something that just doesn't come to mind. But if we hammer that away and we start thinking about it, you know, tell your story from that perspective and use that community action CSBG language.
And we probably have some stuff in the toolkit as well, but be aware that if you're using music and other art things that you have permission to use those elements as background in your video as well. In addition to customer permissions, you want to make sure you don't just use music that you don't have permission to use. I think there are a lot of rules around that.
Yeah, I think that's something I actually forgot to put into the video section.
So maybe we could put something in there.
Glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Great. Well, and in terms of honoring some of the great successes that are going on in the network, the Toolkit's also the time where we actually promote some of the awards that the partnership gives out in August at our convention. So we have one Avril Wiseman Scholarship for staff, and we have an Avril Wiseman Scholarship for our board members, so that application process is included in the Toolkit, as well as nomination process for the Jane Thomas Volunteer Award. If you have someone who has volunteered at your organization and for decades, you all know who they are and have made a huge impact, we welcome your nomination. And then the Sergeant Shriver Achievement Award, which is really for that customer who has achieved a level of economic security for his or her family. And those stories are always moving at our convention. So find your best story and submit it with the awards cover travel and attending the conference.
And that was one of my favorite things at the conference. It was my first conference last year, and I had boo-hooing, crying like crazy.
It's so moving.
So heartwarming.
Wonderful.
It's like awesome. So get them in.
Yep. We're going to turn it over now to Brett Bauer from NCAP. I know that the work that NCAP does is so critically important. The role of getting CSBG and into the hands of agencies, and those dollars are so critically important. We know there's a lot of stuff on the horizon around opioids and other things, and Community Action Month is a great chance, again, to highlight CSBG and highlight community action in a way so then David can certainly use those stories and that on the Hill. So, Brett, we'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Denise, and you're right. While I do love kids and dogs, I appreciate you. You really hit the nail on the head as far as being sure to, bring it all back to community action and CSBG and how that helps us all do what we need to do. So first of all, I want to thank the partnership and NASCAST for their comments. Particularly, thank you, Diane and Denise, for organizing the webinar. Community Action Month provides a great time to raise awareness and promote the Community Action Network throughout the entire country, really, but particularly with federally elected officials. It's an opportunity for you to provide proof of the good that you do within your communities, and specifically the good that you do within your representatives' congressional districts. So as you know, this is a very hard and trying time, to say the least, for social service programs here in Washington. Whether it's the president's very harsh budget or his new executive order that's sort of calling to re-examine most welfare programs, we realize that we really need to protect ourselves. So in other words, while visibility in Congress is always very important, it's particularly important at this time. So just to quickly update you, I'm going to backtrack a little bit on what we're up to right now. We have 3 major legislative priorities for the remainder of this year. It's CSBG reauthorization, our opioid response bills, and FY 2019 appropriations is slowly lingering in the background. Our House CSBG reauthorization bill was introduced a couple weeks ago, or I guess about a month ago, by Republican Glenn Thompson out of Pennsylvania, with Betty McCollum from Minnesota as the original Democratic sponsor. It's a very important piece of legislation that will be a huge priority this year, but our primary focus at this particular moment is on the opioid response bills that we have. Now, hopefully most of you have seen our most recent updates regarding our newest legislation. If not, please email me or contact the office so we can add you to our email list. But we have 2 opioid response bills, one in the House that was introduced by Lloyd Smucker out of Pennsylvania and Betty McCollum as well, and then a companion bill in the Senate, which was introduced by Susan Collins and Eamon Klobuchar. Just yesterday, we sent out a very important call to action on this, and another was sent to select states today. So, you know, ultimately, it's time for members to start supporting us tangibly and legislatively and not just verbally. The success of this opioids bill and the reason we're pushing so hard for this right now is it's extremely important to our CSBG reauthorization efforts and to our appropriations efforts. If you have any questions about this or concerns, reach out to us. And then we have the appropriations process that will, you know, at least formally begin pretty soon, and we'll be actively involved in that. And right here on the screen, you'll see this is a screenshot of a new section we're going to have on our website. It's not live yet, but it will be by the end of this week. It's sort of a campaign headquarters. It's 115th Congress headquarters. You know, on this website, you're going to find really important information on the 3 main subjects I just laid out. This will include, you know, relevant committees, bill texts, bill summaries, which are usually a lot easier to decipher and understand than bill text, and co-sponsor lists. We'll also have a few handouts, memos, things like that for you to download that will, you know, these will help you better familiarize yourself with each issue, and we'll give you some quick-hitting handouts to give to members when they visit your agency. Visiting your agency, speaking of, brings me to one of the most important things that you can do during Community Action Month. And if we can go to the next slide, please. So to increase our footprint and work to further strengthen our firewall in Congress, it's important that you invite your elected officials to visit your agency if at all possible. Right now, we need to continue building bipartisan support for all of our programs and priorities, but especially, you know, the fundamental CSBG, LIHEAP, weatherization, things of that nature. You don't want to miss an opportunity to show the good that your programs are doing, or even what your team could do with more support, more funding, and then on the other hand, what your communities would miss out on if your funding were cut. Congressional support is often won through seeing community action firsthand, and there are tons of stories of members weatherizing homes and climbing up into attics and coming down and then having a newfound respect for what we do. So these are really important visits that can really help us build our coalition. Right, so here you'll see just briefly about the site visits. There are a few best practices. First of all, while you know, as far as Head Start is concerned, while having a member read to Head Start Classroom does provide a really great photo op and is usually less complicated to coordinate, it really is vital that you demonstrate the vast array of programs that your agency provides. Don't just show them a Head Start Classroom and, usher them out the door. You really illustrate the importance of CSBG and other programs, but particularly CSBG, and how that funding helps you do everything that you're doing. Speaking of CSBG, it's really helpful to prepare a short and succinct elevator pitch that explains the Community Services Block Grant and the flexibility that it grants you. A lot of members aren't really familiar with this. While their staff may be, members aren't. So this is your opportunity. While you have their attention, don't go on for 45 minutes and lose their attention, but really, hammer home the important points, flexibility, local control, things like that. And then, work in the themes that we've talked about, whether it's trusted communal institutions, the tripartite board, really a lot of talking points. We've included talking points in a lot of stuff throughout the years. I know the Toolkit has a ton of really good talking points that I was looking at over the past couple of days. So use those and, don't just sit there and, not like you would, but just read a list of that stuff, but just bring them up when you can. And then as far as inviting the members, feel free to invite them not only just for visits, but to participate in big celebrations or events that you might be having. I know there are a lot of big celebrations that happen during Community Action Month. You can also do this outside of Community Action Month as well, but you'll probably have more opportunities during this month than you will any other month. Members are constantly looking for positive interactions with constituents, especially right now in this current moment, and I feel like May will probably be the same as this. So, yeah, next slide, please. So just keep us informed as all this happens of any congressional visits or interactions you might have. Our office keeps extensive notes and research on every single member of Congress, so it's really helpful when you let us know. And also be sure to tag us in any social media posts that interacts with Congress. We like to know that. We like to share that. And be sure to be sure to tag the congressional member as well, because let them show off that they've been at your agency, and let them show that they support what we're doing. The last thing I want to do, I'd say, is I want to be very clear in emphasizing how vital it is that each agency advocate for community action to their congressional representatives. And this includes active participation in Community Action Month. Everything that you do will create a bigger profile for your agency and for our network in general. Please keep up with our communications and calls to action we might send. There will be several pressing calls to action over the course of the next year, and probably some that will happen during Community Action Month that will tie in with that. Community action's ultimate legislative success really is dependent on our network-wide coordination, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you all have planned for the month ahead. And thanks again to Denise and Diane and Eric. And I hope to hear back on how the congressional site visits went.
Great. Thanks, Brett. Yeah, we'd love to see those too. And I love the idea of putting the tag of those elected officials right in your tweets, your Facebook posts. Hopefully you're following them on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram, I guess, if they're Instagramming and all that good stuff. So,
well, I know one particular that happened recently that was really exciting was, I think it's ABCD, is that what it is? In Boston.
Yeah.
Had Elizabeth Warren. So, who knows who you can get to be able to do this. And
those elected officials they want to be in those spots. They want to be seen interacting with constituents, and this is a great excuse to invite them if you haven't invited them in a while.
Yeah, don't be shy about it.
Excuse me, sorry, but on the other hand, too, just, Elizabeth Warren's great, but we've also recently had some really conservative members, too, right? So a lot of people are worried about inviting people that they may not agree with. A lot of times they really do just want to know what you're doing, and if there's one thing that I've seen, I know Dave has seen, is that this network is doing such great work that we can usually win people over, regardless of their political affiliation.
Yeah, exactly. The more the merrier. Just don't be shy. Go ahead and give it a try. You never know who you're going to get.
You never know. So now's a great excuse to do it. And if you need some help on that, you can call us as well as NCAP, just if you need some hints or tools or whatever we can do to be helpful in that space. Slide. All right, so we've been keeping an eye on the chat window, and we haven't seen too many other questions come in. Shrita, has anything else come in? I know we've been posting links to various tools and resources. And I know we just have a couple more slides, but want to make another call out here if there are any other questions or concerns. I know many of you have been doing this for a while, and hopefully we keep making it easier for you. So let's go to the next slide, and feel free to put your questions in the chat window. Our convention is coming up quick. It's like 4 months away, if you can believe it. We'll have NASCAP and NCAP with us. And as Diane mentioned, we're going to have a strong communications track. A lot of different things going on. So if you like this kind of stuff, and that's your kind of one of the many hats you wear at your CAP agency, I hope that you'll join us in Denver, and then we'll have some really ramped up skill set development.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about when someone posted a question earlier about changing the narrative. That's going to be one of our sessions, is how do we talk about ourselves and change that narrative in visual storytelling to make sure that we really are grabbing attention out there and changing minds so that we can advocate on behalf of community action. We're going to have in the communication session, we're going to also do something probably on media relations and social media. And then what's the other one we're doing?
Ooh,
I think that's it.
I know what we're going to
advocacy and fundraising.
Exactly.
There's definitely going to be a session and a track on visibility around that as well, advocacy and fundraising. So, and we're going to really try to make some beginner ones and some intermediate so that, you know, you have those folks who are brand new to community action and those folks who've been around a while that need something a little bit more. So,
and just some dates to flag for you. At the end of this month is the end of our early bird kind of registration. That's going to be April 3rd or 30th, excuse me. And then we have a discounted registration window through June 11th. So with the deep discount, you want to get online and register now. It's online registration. We've simplified it this year. I think it's a little cleaner and a little easier to use, I hope. We also have a leadership day on Tuesday where we'll have some emerging leader and new executive director training as well. So I hope that you'll join us in Denver. Next slide. I think it's just contact information for Diane. My email is dharlow@communityactionpartnership.com, but Diane's probably more likely to be here over the next 6 weeks during Community Action Month. I'm on the road quite a bit, but I have my phone with me at all times, and I know that Diane is very responsive as well.
Yeah, so if you have any questions regarding anything in here, or like we said earlier, if you need me to send you a quick copy of the calendar or the press release, or explain to you the video production tips a little more, go ahead, feel free to contact me, and I will email you or call you, and we'll make sure you got it covered. Yep.
All right, and we're going to be posting slides and the webinar recording up on the website. And
we have your video too.
And we have a little short video. If this was, I know this was kind of really into the weeds. I think we have a 7-minute video that's a quick and dirty about a lot of different things that's in the toolkit that you can also use with your executive director or with your board or something like that as well, or a staff meeting, if you wanted to do a briefer overview of the toolkit. And we'll put out a link to that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So. Well, with that, I don't see any other questions that have come in the door.
Wow, we did a good job. No questions?
No questions. Yeah. We know you're out there, though. Thank you so much for all that you do. May is just it's always so overwhelming about how much great stuff goes on, and I can't wait to see what's going to come out.
I'm excited. After doing the toolkit and after having these webinars and everything, I'm excited to see how involved everyone gets. And like I said, that 5K run and stuff like that is awesome. So do think of those things right now. Let's get her done.
Get her done, yep. And then post them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it doesn't do any good.
And tag us at CA Partnership.
Yeah.
That would be great. And keep an eye on Facebook. We'll be doing some Facebook Lives throughout the month and a variety of other different stuff. So hope to see you soon, and we hope to see you in Denver. Happy Community Action Month, everybody. Bye.